So I'm back again to make another card from our everyday card making series, and it's gonna be on Embossed Resist, so I hope you like it. Hi, so in my last video I made this card. So what happened was that my embossed piece, when I was doing this embossing on this card and with this glitter, if you want to see that video, go ahead and go back to watch that previous video. Now I have this extra piece that I made. It's just a clear emboss, or it's I used my heat and stick embossing powder, but it didn't work, and it just clear embossed. So I'm going to be using this today, and then be making a clear Embossed Resist card. So this is kind of nice. It already has a nice ivory color and has that grid in the background, so it'll probably be able to be shown up in the video. Now I'm going to start off by showing you that I did go ahead and I got 2 more sets of the Distress Ink minis. So I do have 24 colors now. I still want all the colors, so I'm gonna have to buy the remaining sets that I did not have. I just went ahead and color coded them, and I think this works really well for me. And I did get an extra blending, another 2-pack of blending tools. So now I have 4 blending tools and all my Distress Inks. I just wanted to show you too how I store my little mini blending tools. I saw Tim Holtz does this and a few other people does it, and I just put the blending foam right into the back of the container of the Distress Ink mini, and as you see here, the blending foam will fit right in there, and then I can go ahead and pick it up using my blending tool, and it's really easy to store. And even with having this foam, you can still stack them. So if you wanted to do this, this just particularly, that one doesn't work. But if you wanted to stack them up, they totally stack up and they won't fall apart. Nothing will happen to them. So it's really easy to go ahead and you can stack up all your blending foams, have them in the back, and be able to have the ability to store a blending foam in each of the colors, so you don't have to continually search for the right color foam. So this was a really good thing for me. And I did happen to find this box I was going to throw away. It's some kind of granola bar box, and I just went ahead and cut the top off, and it fits my Distress Inks perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and use them today. And another thing I just want to show you about that system that I made, I went ahead and made a few of these swatches. These are the downloadable swatches that you can download from Jennifer Maguire. I just went ahead and instead of, she cuts them up to 2x2 squares, I went ahead and just cut them as the 3 or the 6x2 squares, just because it was so much easier and I didn't have to store them in something so small. So these are the colors that I have right at this moment when they're blended out using the blending tool. And I am missing quite a bit, but I will get there and get the rest of them eventually. So this is how I'm going to be kind of referencing my colors. So the first thing that I'm going to start off today is I have my boss piece here. And then I decided to do kind of a bluish, greenish kind of color scheme like I always do. Those are my kind of go-to colors. I'm going to take out some other, all different types of blues and greens, and try to mix in all these different colors if I can. It's going to be a little bit harder. I also have the full size of peacock feathers, because it's almost my favorite, one of my very most favorite colors. So I had to have this. So I'm going to go ahead, take out my blending tools. I'm just going to go ahead and start getting on with this background. I'm not 100% sure, or I'm not really set on what colors I'm going to be using. I'm just going to test them out, and if it works, it works. If not, it's okay. So I'm starting off with Squeezed Lemonade. It's a nice bright yellow. And this seems to be a really nice start off color to me. This is already really making this card a lot of happy and joyful. And you can see how bright that color is. So I'm really happy with this so far. And again, it's so easy. I can go ahead, put the foam right back into the color, and go on to the next color. So it's really easy to continually switch from one color to the next when you have all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and take this as scattered straw. It's a nice lighter orange. It kind of has a tinge of a brown to it. It's a little bit not as much of a bright orange as you would say, because it does have a more deeper orangey color compared to, I do have spiced marmalade in the big size pad, so it's a very different. You can see this is the scatter straw that I used, but then the spiced marmalade is way brighter, so it's up to you what you prefer. But this, for this card, this seems to be working. I'm gonna go ahead with crushed olive. It's definitely my favorite green. And I might not be able to even bring in that blues, because there's so much color already going on this card. And we'll see though. I'll try to get ahead and bring in some blue here. But every time you do it, it's going to be a little bit different, so you're not going to really know how it's going to turn out until you do it. This is Evergreen Bow, which is going to be my darkest color, so I'm going to be very kind of careful with making sure that it doesn't overpower the other colors. It is a very overpowering color. It's a really deep turquoisey blue and green, so it's almost very close to the peacock feathers, but it is the greener shade of the peacock feathers. And I think I'm pretty much done. Since I wasn't able to add, I'm just gonna add shabby shutters onto this. I do have a few of the big ink pad, and I don't, with the big ink pads that I do have, I went ahead and didn't buy the set of the mini ink pads that had them in it, or most of them, just so because of the reason that I didn't need to have certain colors I really wanted, and it could only come in certain sets. But the other ones, I decided that if they had a color that I already had, I could wait on it a little bit. So as you see, this is my nice background. It's kind of a very Hawaiian-ish look, which I'm really happy living here in Hawaii, and it's really nice to use and get to use on a card. So I'm going to go ahead and get putting my card together. Now I got all my pieces die cut and ready. Now the first thing that I have here is I have my panel that I made. And then I went ahead and used the larger stitched frame. So this is the largest from the large stitch rectangling dies from Lawn Fawn. And this is the largest from the small stitch rectangling dies from Lawn Fawn. And I just made a frame for it. So that's using that same paper. It's that same grid paper. I just used the extra that I had of it. So I have that ready. And I also went ahead and used this die and cut this piece of vellum, and it has that nice stitching on the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment on that as well. And as well as I have a white card base here. So I'm going to start off by stamping my sentiment on this. Now I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I usually use, here, I'm just using my embossing powder prep bag there. I usually use some kind of Memento Luxe or VersaFine, and I use clear embossing powder. But I decided to go ahead and use my silver embossing powder this time, which I haven't used in a very, very long time. So I'm going to see how it works. But I'm just going to go ahead and ink it up. I'm using Memento Luxe just because it's the pigment ink and I have it on my desk. So I'm just going to use it. I'm going to go ahead and stamp it down. And there's my sentiment. And then I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle on. This is some Ranger embossing powder in the silver. And I haven't used this again in a while, so I'm hoping that this sentiment will be able to catch all the detail that I want it to, and it looks like it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss it. So I have my piece here. I went ahead and did emboss it, and it turned out okay. It's not the best, like the O, it doesn't have the opening in the hole, but everything seems to be okay. It's a little bit more melted over here, but it seems to be okay to me. I'm going to go ahead and I put some really strong score tape or merkin tape over here. It's just like score tape on the sides because I needed something really strong to hold this vellum. You can go ahead and use your Xyron, but I decided just to do this. Now, when you're dealing with a pattern that's kind of bright and it has a lot going on, you don't have to worry about the adhesive showing through that much. It really is not going to show through, and nobody will be able to see it. Maybe only you knowing that you put adhesive there, but really nobody else will be able to see it. So I just go ahead and I'll put score tape on the sides to really make sure that it's really strong and stuck down really well. And you can see my sentiment is a little bit warped, but it's pretty good, and that's the way I like to do it. Now, if you want to be really particular, make sure that this whole sentiment is all stuck down, there's no warping. You can go ahead and use your Xyron. I have done that before, and that seems to work well. But for now, I'm just doing this right now. I'm going to get on to the working of the rest of the card. I'm going to take, this is just some regular double-sided tape runner. And I'm going to go ahead, and before I do this, I'm just going to take it and the adhesive, which this one ran out. Wait a second. Okay, here, I got another one. I'm just going to take it and put it right along the edge. And what that's going to do is it's going to, I'm going to be able to stick my frame on there without having to put adhesive on this thin frame. So first of all, I'm going to line it up and stick this panel onto my card. Okay, that seems to be pretty good. I'm going to kind of push it down. And then I'm going to take my frame here. And this is the harder part. So I usually do the inside panel first because you're able to line it up really well and butt it against the inside panel, and that's how you make sure that you're not getting any warping or you're distorting your frame. So I'm going ahead and doing that. And here is my finished card. So thanks for watching. Please leave your comments below. If you want to see any of my other card projects, please visit my blog at micahscrafts.blogspot.com. It will be in the description bar below. And have a great day. Bye.